Very simple. Basically, it's as far as we get in the grinders. I don't have any coffee actually in the hopper here, but you would normally close it to save some of your coffee. If you are using a little lock screw, which is right up here to hold your hopper in place, you will have to just
unscrew that.
Unscrew that if I can get my screwdriver into it, and that'll actually pop that off.
And then also, I probably would want to dump my coffee out and clean that too, right?
You would, yeah. Actually, this to me is the most disgusting part of coffee shops. If you can see this
Don't mince any words there, Brandon.
If you can see this color, this is how they start. I have walked into many coffee shops where it's a nice beige.
Yes.
That is not the direct color. This is how it's supposed
clear.
to look.
You can't see through it.
The oils of all that espresso, all the coffee inside of it is what will eventually turn this into a nice dark black or brown or whatever.
Okay.
So yes, please clean this. You can even just take a bag, put it over top the bag, open it up.
Got it.
Rinse it.
Cool.
It's nice. All right, so now we're in here. This is our big problem. I'm going to spill beans everywhere. We got beans sitting there. Shop vacs are great. That's generally the easiest way to do it, or you can just dump it over and make a mess, which is my preferred method.
But we brought a shop vac for you today.
We brought a shop vac, and this is my first time actually in Gail's kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't want to make a mess. So we're going to be nice.
Okay.
Wasted beans. I hate that. And now we have to get this collar off of here. A couple things in this collar a lot of people forget about this little set screw. One of the things is if you put that little set screw in there, it just kind of holds in place.
All right.
So eventually it's going to turn around, and I'll show you once we get it out, but do you see how there's a little lever right there, a little spot? It can't keep going.
Okay.
So people kind of get confused. Why won't it come
off?
off?
That sort of sets your range.
Yep, that sets your range. It's changeable, obviously, just by taking this off, or mostly out. And then you can just set it, but it keeps you in a certain collar.
Okay. A certain area of the threads?
Yes, a certain area of the threads. So what you'll see here in a second when I get this off, what you got to remember with this, it's just a big, gigantic screw.
Okay.
That's all it is. You can see the threads right on here. What happens is I can effectively endlessly spin this all the way through. So that little screw is just kind of holding it, so that way I kind of keep within some range.
Got it.
You can take it out. You don't have to use it, but it's nice to not
have
go
to
from there.
Okay.
Once we really get to that point, you can see it just screwed off really easily. It's opposite of what you would expect. So normally it's lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. This is righty-loosey, lefty-tighty.
Lefty-tighty, okay.
That's where you have to remember from there. And then we get inside.
All right.
And you can see really how simple this whole thing is and how simple it is to clean it, okay?
Okay. So this guy has not been heavily used, so we don't have a lot of residue in there.
No, this guy's not been heavily used. You know, ideally, if you are cleaning it, though, it does generally somewhat look like this.
Yeah.
The only real difference right now is because I don't have a lot of used grinds inside of there. But once you vacuum that out the way I just did right there, you kind of wish that it's going to be looking like this.
Okay.
And you can keep it like this. You know, this one here has probably a couple 100 pounds of espresso through it.
And so I've seen, I see that there's some grinds here in the thread. So we want to first maybe take a brush to that area to kind of loosen that up.
Yeah, you normally want to just kind of get a little bit inside of there. I'm actually going to take these out as well, just to kind of get through there. I'm going to show you that whole process.
Oh, you're going to take the burrs out?
I'm going to take the burrs out for you. But yeah, you can really just even get inside of here. Try to get that out of there. Running grinds through it regularly is going to prevent that stuff from sticking.
Okay.
You can kind of see, I'll get a little flathead screwdriver here. You can kind of see even after I just did that, you can still see it's kind of stuck inside. Most of that is just the oil. It's very little at this point. Most of that's the oil, though. You can kind of see it right there. That's what's going to make that stick.
Okay.
So we're actually going to go ahead and just take these burrs out of here, though. And actually, I'm going to use a flathead. It's really just 3 screws. The only real thing to be careful with when you're doing this is the part that confuses people. It spins.
Yeah.
So really...
Oh, nice.
It's just a little stopper, effectively. Once you figure out which way it's going, let's get through here, bind that up there, and then we can actually get a screwdriver in there and pop that out. Now
this is how if after a while, you know, in a commercial environment, about what every year I might have to replace my burrs?
Every
depending...
year you generally have to replace your burrs.
Okay.
Truthfully speaking, as long as you know how to turn a screw and you don't strip it out,
yeah,
there's really no harm in actually taking these out, because you'll see there's actually some grinds underneath it as well.
So you recommend for like these heavy duty, like high production models, that you should be removing these burrs during cleaning?
I like to. Okay. You know, again, I think you want to be careful not to get overly excessive. General rule of thumb is, you know, there's no such thing as too much cleaning.
Yeah.
But when we're dealing with screws, if we start taking these in and out every 2 weeks, you're going to eventually strip something.
Okay.
But yes, I like to actually do that, because now we can get there, and now we can actually get underneath here, anything that ends up, and again, you can see they're kind of clean. I keep them relatively clean here. Okay. But you can actually get any of this gunk that's underneath.
So there may be some like coffee oils build up over there.
Yep, you're going to have oils, you're going to have just regular grinds that's underneath there. It may sound minor, but just a little bit underneath it as well can start affecting
how that consistency. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how would I know when I need to replace them other than just time?
Replacement is a interesting thing. This is impossible to show over video, but it's a sharpness. Okay. So as I'm running this around, most people are familiar with knives. You know, with your regular knives, you get a nice sharpened knife, you just barely touch it and you can just feel it sharp. Whereas when it's dull over time, you can kind of even put your whole finger on it.
Yeah.
It's the same concept through here. Okay. What I like to do though is you can really start seeing, and these are pretty fresh burrs. You can feel it right here, but feel the very edge. Okay, just the very, very edge, and go this way with it.
Like that.
See how there's still sharpness to even the very edge of it? That means that they're pretty good. That's going to start dulling over time, and we're going to start getting into here. There's so much, if you can see how much space we have there, it's kind of hard for those to not be sharp. But you will see that after 1,100 pounds, even down at the bottom is just dull. And
then also if you see some shiny bits, there's nicks, right? Like possibly you had a pebble in one of your bags of coffee or something like that, right? Some kind of nicks.
You will see nicks, but I mean, you know, again, we kind of, I don't know, that one's always so hard to me. I mean, it's rare you would see a big chunk of something missing. There's a lot of people that'll tell you all different ways of finding it. I just run my fingers around it. I mean, I start from here. As you go in, we're dull. Okay, now I'm starting to get some bite, basically.
Got it.
Once I get to the point that I'm in the meaty part, and it feels like I'm running my finger over a butter knife, that's when they're gone. Okay, so basically you take that guy out, brush it off real well, clean it. Take it, get it out from there. And then you'd get down in there, obviously, as well with a brush and vacuum and clean that too. Exactly. What else do I need to do? Inside of here, if we were running this, if I just ran a bunch of espresso through there, you would actually see this little chute. It had coffee in it. Yep, that would be out. Okay. A little air duster that can go through unless you have an air compressor, which is also nice. That'll blow that out. Same concept. We can get the shop vac and get inside of there. Okay. You can see these little front screws that are up here. This actually holds the little guide, little finger protector. Actually, people always call it a finger protector. What it really does is it makes sure that your coffee doesn't spray. Oh. To there. I was always like, why are they protecting my finger from there? Well, you know, like there's not really much that can go dangerous, but that makes sense. Your hands are so precious. We do not want to do that. One of these days, you're gonna put your hand out, missing a finger, and then there's gonna be a super jelly thrown in the trash very angrily. So we're going to take this off of here. But that makes more sense that that's sort of more of a guide, so it's not spraying everywhere. Yeah. Eventually, when this is fully chock full, it'll just kind of bubble out. Yeah. But if I were to, if I were to actually put these burrs back here and start it up and leave this off, you'll see this sprays this way. I see. And then a lot of problems, and I'd have to loosen this real quick to get into that. But if this thing is shifted, then all of a sudden you'd have coffee just running down, even if you weren't dosing it out. Okay. So we put this in there. It deflects it down. So now that I have that off, what's my best way to clean down in there in my little doser chamber? Depends how you want to do it. I like to grab this here. What is it? So number 8 metric ratchet. Okay. We're actually going to take this off. This little screw. Oh. Little nut right there. This is going to allow me to actually get inside. Here's why I like a doser. I could dose it out. Nice. Dose out my screw. Get your hand down in there. You see how when I turn this without touching anything, it's going to spin that a little bit? Yeah. Just get your hand right there, and then we can actually even push it down. See how I'm actually able to push that? It's on a spring.
Oh, okay.
And then I can just loosen it, which I'm sure you can see a whole bunch right now.
Yeah. Okay.
How's that?
That's perfect.
So then we can loosen it, take this out of here. It's really an easy process to get all this stuff out. It goes a lot quicker when someone's not staring at you with the camera.
You a little nervous?
No, never. So now we can actually pop this out of here.
Nice.
Okay. That'll allow this to spin freely. That'll allow us to see all that.
And we could get a vacuum in there. And...
Yep. And here's why I like taking this off. A lot of people would say just spray it out and all that. There's all these little chambers inside here, and watch this. See all that stuff there?
Yeah.
See how none of it's moving? Mm-hmm. None of it's going to go anywhere. It has to always have a little bit of gap. So it's nice to be able to clean that out. This is something you can do a lot more frequently because there's really no risk at stripping
that guy.
This out.
Okay.
Okay. Then we can get inside of there. Most places, this I've cleaned pretty frequently. That is probably months old coffee. You know, and you don't want to get that inside of people's stuff. Let me get down in there. You can also get down to the spring. This is going to be the tension generally that's kind of pulling through here. If you want to grease it, it's nice, but it's just make sure it's nice and springy.
Okay.
It's a pretty easy thing to replace. From there, we've got this here, same thing, we can just turn that on. One important note that you guys almost just saw, when you're using a shop vac, if you're putting your screws right there, don't swing up from the right. Just saying.
Be careful.
That would have been an awesome blooper though. From there, we can actually go ahead and put this back on.
Spend 2 hours fishing your screws out of the shop vac.
One of the important things, make sure, see that little notch right there? We got to make sure we get that down in here.
Where? Okay. Okay.
Notch is right here. And let me use a screwdriver so you can see. There's a little...
Oh, so you need to engage it there.
Yep. And what that does, again, this protects, it's a spray guard. So it protects, if I were to just not have this in here and have something shooting out, I don't have to dose to get anything. You would literally just have grinds coming
straight down.
Coming out. So a lot of people put this back in and they forget to center it, to actually get it in there. So you want to make sure as we drop that in, we want to get it into that channel.
Nice.
Okay. Now, of course, I'm very springy, and this is really the hardest part to it, but it's not that hard. 2 fingers will settle that, basically. And then we just got to get inside. Little tip here that I don't have with me, if you have any grease, any food-grade grease, you can actually put a little bit on there. It'll make it a lot easier to spin this down. Okay. There's a lot of espresso grinds that make it on here, and so you can't do your fancy little trick like hit it once and it spins 600 times. A little bit of grease makes it a lot easier to do. Okay. That'll do this the hard way. We'll be back in 40 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so after I've got that, then I'm putting my finger guard and I'm putting my burrs back on. Yep. Anything else that I need to think about when I'm doing this maintenance?
At this point, no. I mean, you know, really, they're simple systems.
Okay. How often do I want to do this?
Again, I run into that general rule of there's no such thing as overcleaning. Okay. With that being said, I would go into this once a month. You know,
the chamber?
Yeah, once a month, maybe even once every couple weeks if you could, because it'll just keep it nice. It'll keep your fronts from staining. Okay. This cleaning here, I would clean this like every day, every other day, because that builds up very quickly. Going inside of here and actually taking these burrs off, I mean, every 6 months is probably enough, especially if you're cleaning with grinds or some type of cleaner going in. Okay. And how often would I want to run grinds through? Like weekly, daily? That becomes a cost issue. Okay. Same deal. If you've never heard anybody that basically, let's say, ran grinds through after every single 2-pound hopper that had a problem. Okay. I would say once a week is nice. If you're a very high volume shop, it's great to go even more than that. Like do it every night when you're closing out or something. Every night, even every couple nights maybe. Okay. You'll see these real greasy espresso. You kind of saw here, and we clean it very much, but you can even still see how some of it's still stuck right there. If it's really oily, it's just gonna start sticking. Okay. And once that starts filling, now it's not cutting anything anymore. Okay. Now it's like level.
level with oil.
Yeah, now it's level with oil. So now we're not slicing beans anymore. We're just kind of rubbing them till they turn into a powder.
Massage. It's a coffee massage.
Very gentle coffee massage. So okay. Yeah, that's kind of the general idea. Is if you can get in there and do it. I mean, like I said, once every couple of days would be awesome with grinds.
So now we just like lay that guy back down in there, and
now we're gonna lay it back down, line up the 3 screws from there, put it back on the exact same way it just came off. Use the right screw. The proper screw actually does help. I know it's crazy, isn't it? But once you kind of get back through there, you won't have to worry about binding it until we go get ready to tighten it.
Okay.
Okay. And you'll see with like this one here, I don't want to quite get it tight, but as we do that, that's when you have to actually stick something through. If you've got this guard off, you can also stick
like that
through that way. Makes it a little bit easier as well. There's not as much need on this one right here to actually take it off.
On the top burr?
On the top burr.
Okay.
You can, but part of the good part is it's already off. I'm holding it in my hand so I can really kind of get into it.
But you don't have to worry about anything underneath the burr?
No. If you start getting into this one, this is really where you have a high risk of stripping things.
Okay.
Because you're holding it. There's nothing to brace it. So your hand's shaky. You've kind of
because you've had too much coffee.
Yeah, like us. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend too much inside of there. You already have it out. Part of the reason I like to get this one out here is just because I can get it in my hand versus being down in there like that.
More thorough.
Yeah. All right, so now we can start spinning. You can see where that goes from there. Once I get it to that point, it's not overly tightened. We're not, not Hercules. Is that still reference Hercules?
Yeah, okay. Why not?
I don't know. That show hasn't been on in ages.
Yeah, but it's like an age-old myth from thousands of years ago.
It's just nice and tight. Okay, you can see how I just bound it right there, basically.
Yeah.
Give it a little good one there. Do not use something like Loctite.
Okay.
As a tech, we hate it when we get there and there's Loctite because I basically have to break your grinder.
Eek.
But yeah, nice and tight, nice and snug, so that way if I do it like this, I can't loosen anything. But that's as tight as we have to go. You don't have to get crazy with it. You can see just from a little bit there, you get a little bit of stripping that happens.
Yeah.
But we're good to go. Everything's nice there.
Then we put our top burr back on.
Yep, we're going to put our top burr back on. One of the hard parts with this one here, first off, see the little 3?
Yeah.
Got to get it inside those little springs.
Okay.
One of the hard part with this one, though, is that this one won't just randomly start. A lot of the other grinders will start for you.
Okay.
This one won't. You have to kind of use 2 hands here. So we do have to give some pressure just to get this actually started.
To get it engaged down, pressure down on those springs.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of other grinders don't. Even on bigger grinders on Mazzers, you don't have to do that. But the Super Jolly requires you to push down. And then once we're there...
How do I know when to put my set screw down?
It's a wonderful question.
Do I basically take it all the way down and then bring it back a bit?
What's going to happen is, and that's probably another video of how to set your grinder. Right now, I'm almost touching.
Okay.
What we're going to do effectively is I'm going to turn the grinder on, and I'm going to go down until you hear that squealing, the wee, actually touching. And that's when I know my burrs are touching. And then I'm going to back it off about halfway.
But you can't just do that now. I mean, like, because you can feel like that you can't do it any further.
Yeah, but I don't really know. I mean, honestly, no, I don't. And when I go down like this, that's probably bound right there. So theoretically, I could.
If you do a half off,
back it off from there, and I'm probably pretty good.
Okay.
But at the same point, it's so much easier. Once you're at this here and I'm free, I'm plugged in, I can actually just turn it on, and then I can just hear it. It's a lot easier to do that. Then we're going to coarsen it up just a bit.
Gail just does it by touch.
Does she?
Oh, yeah.
Gail's better than me. She's been doing it longer.
Cool. All right. So then you're all clean as a whistle. Put your little finger card back on and you're all ready to go.
Yep. Other than that, I just got to do this. I've got one more nut to go back inside of there. Just like so.
Cool. All right. Well, I will let you do that off camera.
Thanks, Kat.
Thanks, Brandon.